This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America for this Tuesday morning. I'm Seth Merrill. Thanks for joining us here as we kick off another day of racing coverage, racing news, and recaps, looks forward. We do it all, and we're going to be looking at some stakes action from this past weekend in the next segment. Yesterday's Winkfield and some of the races from the weekend. And again, it was one of those weekends where Sunshine Millions, the big day down at Fairgrounds, and then stakes races from other parts of the country. I said it yesterday. We looked at a couple at the top of the show that just I don't think we'd have a chance to look at otherwise during the week. So take a look at some of those coming up in the next segment. A little later on, Gary Johnson from Beulah Park. We'll get some thoughts on Beulah for this afternoon from Gary. Also, he's going to be headed out to Vegas. Gary, of course, is a contest player, has secured himself a seat, a couple of seats, I think, at the National Handicapping Championship out in Vegas. We'll talk to him, and I believe he said he was heading out tomorrow for that, so we'll talk to him a little bit about that as well. And the bottom of the hour, our regular Tuesday visit also from Michael Chamberlain, Turf Paradise. We'll take a look back at a couple of stakes races they ran this past Saturday. They had a nice stakes day. Cotton Fitzsimmons is one of their bigger races down there. That and the Glendale were run. So we'll take a look back last Saturday at Turf Paradise and get some thoughts for this afternoon from Michael as well. Do want to remind you, we've talked a little bit about it the past few days on here, but we want to remind you tonight, Horse Players premieres. It is the reality show on the Esquire Television Network, which is a fairly new network. I think it went on the air September maybe, and it's aimed at a kind of a young male audience. And the numbers for it, I guess, have been doing pretty well and growing over the last few months since it's come on. They premiere Horse Players, which is produced by the same company that produced the Jockeys series that was on Animal Planet a few years ago. I thought that was kind of entertaining. It was a reality-based series that focused on the jockeys, primarily on the Southern California circuit. I think it was about 2 seasons it lasted. And, you know, it's a niche kind of a product, horse racing, and how are you going to draw them in? I thought they did a good job and made the Jockey Series entertaining and compelling to watch going forward. Hopefully they can do the same thing. Horse Players concentrates on contest handicap players, has bounced around to a number of the tournaments throughout the country this year, including the one up at Saratoga. And I assume what will be the series finale will be the championship down at Vegas this weekend. It's a 10-week run. They're just confirmed so far for this season. They haven't said whether it's going to continue next season. I'm sure they have to kind of get a feel of how it's going to go. But it premieres tonight in our area here in the upstate New York area, Time Warner Cable. If you go to the Esquire television site, they have a little link that says Channel Finder. And regardless of where you are, you can type in your zip code and it'll tell you where to find Esquire. Because again, it's a fairly new network and some people just aren't familiar with it yet. So it'll tell you what channel. If you go to that Esquire website, it says here in the upstate New York area on the Time Warner cable system, it's channel 169. But I had somebody write in a couple of days ago when I mentioned that on the air, and he said he'd scouted it out a little more, and Time Warner has changed where they put Esquire. The Esquire website just hasn't caught up. He says it's 114 because he was looking it up so he could DVR the series. I also noted, according to some of the press that I've read, the series is also going to be available on Hulu, which will make it available on your computer. So you can check it out there as well if you can't find Esquire on your cable system. So keep that in mind. Again, it looks like 114 here on Time Warner in upstate, but Hulu should have it available also. So Horse Players premieres tonight, 10 o'clock. Should be fun. And I said yesterday, we were talking with one of the guests, don't make up your mind on this first show. I'm sure the first show will have drama and be compelling. But any series like this, show number one is going to take a lot of time just to introduce the characters, which will be more fun to watch week 2, week 3, and then going forward. But I think the opening episode of a lot of these kind of series, there's just some introductions and just kind of getting to know the characters. So this one might not move as fast as it will subsequently. So, watch tonight and then give it a chance going forward as well. But it'll be fun to see what kind of a response the series gets. It sounds like fun. Also, and I'm not sure if I mentioned on the show yet, but the news came out within the past 3 or 4 days. John Velasquez is going to return to the track. He was working out the other day. We had Jay Privman on with us Sunday morning. He saw Velasquez at the Palmettos facility, I believe that morning. We had him on Sunday morning. I think he'd seen him that morning. He was working some horses. And Velasquez is scheduled to ride a couple of mounts, I believe, this coming Saturday, including Coup de Grace in the stakes race. So it'll be interesting. It'll be fun to see, and we're happy John Velasquez is on the way back and scheduled to ride again, return to the racetrack on Saturday down at Gulfstream Park. He noted earlier, expect over the first, at least couple of weeks or so, some limited rides as he gains his strength and whatnot. But John Velasquez slated to be back on track. I noted on the Handicappers report earlier that there was 3 3-year-old stakes races yesterday that were a little bit interesting out in Southern California. And at some point, we'll probably take a look at this week. But it was yesterday on the holiday card at Santa Anita, the San Pedro. $75,000 purse, 6 furlongs. The winner was Indianapolis for Bob Baffert. This one, a Magnier and Tabor runner in the Baffert barn. And Indianapolis, I believe, is now 2 for 2 in the career, including the little stakes race. Went off at 3 to 5 in a field of 4. I'm always a little leery. We had Midnight Hawk a week or so ago in the field of 4. I'm always a little leery in the short fields, but just like Midnight Hawk, Indianapolis comes out of this race yesterday getting a little bit of buzz. So, as I say, we'll look at that later. Maybe tomorrow with Jeremy Plonk, we'll take a look and get his thoughts on Indianapolis. Smarty Jones, the Winkfield in New York was Hot Air Skier, and we're actually going to take a look at that one in the next segment. I liked Hot Air Skier in that race, coming out of the nice win prior to that down at Laurel. Hot Air Skier wins the Winkfield. And over in Arkansas, Oaklawn, the Smarty Jones, which kicks off their 3-year-old series. It was Tanzanite Cat for Cody Autry. He was coming out of a win down at the fairgrounds. It was Cody Autry and Noberto Arroyo. That duo certainly very potent down at Oaklawn early in their meet. And I mentioned earlier on the show, also notable, the second place finisher, Walt. And Walt's notable because it was coming out of a race at Remington Park. And I've said a few times on this show and on the Handicappers Report over the past few days, watch the Remington shippers at Oaklawn. They have been very potent and at some good prices. You can almost ignore the form and just toss some of these Remington shippers into the mix at Oaklawn. They've been doing very well. But more notable, Walt, who ran second yesterday behind Tanzanite Cat and the Smarty Jones, came out of the Springboard Mile at Remington. And that race to me is a little bit fun to watch this year because last year, second place finisher in the Springboard Mile at Remington last year was Will Take Charge, who came down to Oaklawn and ran decently in a couple of starts right after that Springboard Mile. And now Walt, fourth in this year's Springboard Mile, runs a nice second yesterday in the Smarty Jones. Picks himself up some points on the Kentucky Derby points leaderboard. Leaderboard now, Havana and Honor Code on top with 14 points. But coming out of that Smarty Jones yesterday, Tanzanite Cat now sitting with a group of horses with 10 points. We Miss Artie over the weekend also added some points and now has 10 points. Vickers in Trouble coming out of the Lecomte down at Fairgrounds also with 10 points. So again, there's a group in here with 10 points. We have Havana and Honor Code 14 points, Tapiture 12, Bondholder 11, and then there's another probably 8 horses right behind them with 10 points, including Midnight Hawk. Now, this is interesting because this is going to shake up. Clearly, we're still in the lower point part of the calendar. As we get into the next set of prep races and then that final set, the points go up. This is going to shake up quite a bit. But again, remember we have this mix in here of 7 or 8 horses already with 10 points, including We Miss Artie, Vickers in Trouble, Tanzanite, Midnight Hawk. Why is that notable? Well, I looked up last year's stats. I was just kind of curious looking at this list so far. Last year, how many points did it? Last year was the first year of the point system. And I did this because I read earlier this week somebody mentioned a horse with 10 points. One of the pundits was out there writing about the 3-year-old trail, and somebody said one of these horses had 10 points, but of course that's not going to be enough, and they'll have to do something else. And I was just kind of curious, and I went back and looked. What got you into the Derby last year, points-wise? 10 points. Giant Finish was the last horse to make it into the field. Giant Finish, who winds up running 10th in the race, got into the Derby last year with 10 points. Also notable, Fear the Kitten. And again, last year I think was the first year they had also eligibles, which scratched by about Thursday for the early betting. But they did have also eligibles for the Derby last year. Fear the Kitten wasn't also eligible, so potentially was right there on the cusp of making it. Fear the Kitten had 6 points going into the Derby on the first Saturday of May. So Fear the Kitten was an AE with 6 points. Giant Finish made it in with 10 points. The next horse making it in points-wise, Golden Soul, only 14 points. 14 points got Golden Soul in. Golden Soul ran a good second behind Orb in the Derby. So again, 14 made the field, 10 made the field, 6 was just on the cusp. And with that, last year being the first year of Derby points, maybe things will shake out this year. Trainers may be a little more keyed in, and it may get a little tougher this year. But again, there's a slew of horses in here with 10 points, 11, 12, couple up at the top of the list with 14. And given what happened last year, I would discount none of them at this point as far as points are concerned, because it didn't take any more than that last year to get to get horses into the mix. Speaking of horse players premiering tonight on the Esquire Network, another big television announcement came out yesterday via Fox Sports and the Jockey Club. They finally announced their schedule for that Jockey Club tour on Fox series, which will be showing up on Fox Sports 1 during 2014. The first race in the series will be the February 9th Don Handicap at Gulfstream Park. And it was noted a week and a half, 2 weeks ago that they're moving the Don to Sunday. Speculation then was that they would shoot for some Sundays with these. Probably not a bad idea, given that on the American sports landscape, Saturday's a big day. So if you move to Sunday, you may just have a little bit less competition. Given the schedule here, certainly the fall and early winter, you're going to be up against the NFL, but that's not what they're shooting for. They're kicking off on February 9th and winding up on September 14th. So they're in a spot where maybe a Sunday sports program will have a cozy fit. So it's mainly Sundays, a couple of Saturdays. The Don Handicap kicks things off. They also included the Dubai World Cup, the Bluegrass, the Man of War at Belmont, United Nations over at Monmouth, Eddie Reed. Up at Saratoga, we will have the Coaching Club American Oaks, the Saratoga Special, and the Sword Dancer. So as far as tracks, Saratoga is getting the lion's share here with 3 stops on this scheduled 9 program series. So Saratoga is certainly getting plenty of attention, and then the Woodbine Mile will wrap things up on September 14th. Scheduled for 9 dates, they have said in the press release that each telecast will include at least 2 stakes, and they will announce what the full schedule will be coming up very shortly. They're also going to announce who the on-air talent is. They've been kind of checking around, having auditions and whatnot. They have not firmed up the talent yet, but I would expect that announcement. With the Don being the first telecast, February 9th, things have to firm up pretty quickly. So they've announced the schedule now. Next thing, firming up what some of those secondary stakes will be on these days and who the talent will be as well. But again, mainly Sundays, couple of Saturdays, the Dubai World Cup and the Toyota Bluegrass down at Keeneland will both be Saturday telecasts. But obviously those are big days for both of those venues. Those are marquee days. They weren't going to switch off of their days, obviously, for those. But the rest are Sundays. So it should be fun. Hopefully, they will keep with the mandate they put out there when they originally proposed this series, which was it's going to focus a little more on the player, the handicapper, the betting side of the game, and we'll keep our fingers crossed that is the way it goes, because I think that'll be a lot of fun, and certainly they picked some nice races and venues to focus on. So again, Jockey Club Tour on Fox kicks off February 9th with the non-handicap for a 9-program series. Noted earlier on the handicappers report, rough day at Gulfstream yesterday if you were watching. A couple of spills that looked worse than they turned out, hopefully. 5 jockeys involved over a couple of races. It was the 9th and 10th race yesterday, one on the main track, one on the turf. In the 9th race, Abdel Jayen went down, as did Edgar Zayas. Both of them walked back to the jockey's room. That's good news. In the 10th race on the grass, Matt Rispoli went down, Luis Saez and Joel Rosario. According to Blood Horse follow-up, Saez and Rosario escaped serious injury. Rispoli, however, went to the hospital. There is no follow-up on Rispoli, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Hopefully he's okay too. But there was 5 jockeys involved, and again, it looked kind of bad, and that 4 of them got up and walked away is good news. And it seems like the horses are okay too. I'm just kind of following here. Certainly in the second race, it seems like one was vanned, and first race, same thing. One was vanned back. But on first blush, it may be that the horses came out of it all right as well. So we'll keep our fingers crossed there for horses and, again, Matt Rispoli. And also the other jocks. Sometimes these guys get up and walk away, and then the next day they realize they have a ding. But on first blush, it seems like maybe things turned out all right. But it was a tough day down there at Gulfstream yesterday with a couple of spills in consecutive races. Down in New York, Sweet Reason put in another work for trainer Leah Giramati. Sweet Reason, of course, attracts the attention of those of us in this area because she won the Grade 1 Spinaway at Saratoga last summer. Now coming back for the 3-year-old season, worked a little over 48 down at Belmont yesterday in company with a 4-year-old. Giamatti says she hasn't picked out a spot for this one yet. Now, clearly gearing up, because I think this was the 3rd workout back since the horses returned to the track working out. Wasn't nominated for the Busher down at Aqueduct on February 1st, but the Gazelle on April 5th is a race that Giamatti seems to be targeting. So they haven't picked yet, but it does look like the Gazelle on April 5th for Sweet Reason. We'll take charge. Looking at the Don, had a workout at Oaklawn yesterday and worked a little over a minute. Wayne Lucas pleased with the workout. They're looking at the Don, but they're also trying to make travel arrangements and figure that out to see if that will happen going from Oaklawn. Oaklawn's kind of in a funny location, so travel plans, I think, are a little bit difficult sometimes. But if they can make the hop over to Florida, the Don is likely going to be the next start. But they're also looking perhaps at the Santa Anita Handicap, the big cap. And the article, Mary Rampolini's Daily Racing Forum article about this also notes, Will Take Charge, who won the 3-year-old Eclipse over the weekend, he was the record 25th champion trained by D. Wayne Lucas. So another note, another record for the mantelpiece for Lucas. And also in the article, it does note that Strong Mandate, last year's nice 2-year-old for Wayne Lucas, also with his string down at Oaklawn. And now a 3-year-old Strong Mandate is going to point for the Southwest down at Oaklawn on February 17th. All right, we will take our first break. When we come back, we'll take a look at, again, some of the stakes action that we might otherwise have missed. A few stakes that may floated under the radar. We'll tee them up, take a look at those, review those, and then a little later on, Gary Johnson, Beulah Park, Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise, all of that right after this.
I'm Brian Nadeau, inviting you to join me Friday, January 24th at the Clubhouse Racebook. I'll be handicapping the day's races live and managing a $500 bankroll for 25 lucky patrons. We'll see you then. Let's win together.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
I'm Anthony Mormino. Join me weekdays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the day in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekdays at 9, only on the OTB TV network.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, we'll take a look at some of the stakes action from the past few days. Go back to yesterday's Jimmy Winkfield. Again, among the 3-year-old stakes yesterday and over the weekend that can potentially have a little impact as we go forward. I'm not quite sure whether these horses in the Winkfield yesterday will be stretching out and be Derby material, but could be players certainly at the very least on the 3-year-old sprint division side of things. So we'll take a look at this one with that in mind. The Winkfield yesterday, $100,000 purse, 3-year-olds going 6 furlongs. I talked with Eric Donovan yesterday from NYRA and showed the race from Laurel of Hot Air Skier back on December 26th, which was a nice win in a maiden breaker. In that one's second career start, I thought Hot Air Skier looked very interesting. Eric agreed. He liked that one as well as the other Laurel shipper, Pax Orbis. The favorite in the race is Oliver Zip, 2-1. Oliver Zip for Kelly Breen came out of a second-place finish in the Don Rickles in that one's second career start. And as we come down the stretch, it will be the number 6 Hot Air Skier, Jose Ortiz on board. This one gets a little erratic in the stretch. Looks like it may run away and hide, but then, as I say, it gets a little bit erratic. And Oliver Zip, the number 3 horse, does make it a little bit of a race in here subsequently, but Hot Air Skier does hold on by about half a length. And again, as I say, looks like maybe the horse is gonna run away, but just gets a little erratic in the stretch, and they kind of make a run late. But Hot Air Skier holds on. Again, 6 furlongs, the first couple of career starts down at Laurel, a second-place finish in the career debut, going 5.5. Broke the maiden pretty convincingly, going 6. We may be seeing, the limit of this. This may be a more sprint-meant type. Also, though, the erratic run, this is a horse that only has 3 career starts, so still, gaining some education and whatnot. But I think Hot Air Skier could be a little bit interesting from Ben Perkins, based down in Maryland. We'll watch that one going forward as well. Shift our attention now out to Saturday and go down to Oaklawn Park. Wanted to show you this one, the Pippin, just because it is Don't Tell Sophia. 2-5 favorite. So we're not seeing any surprise here. But again, we're early on this series they have down there for the older females. And Don't Tell Sophia has certainly shown an affinity for this Oaklawn strip in the past, having won the Pippin last year, then moved on, won the Bayakoa. Second place finish in the Azeri behind Tisma Sioux, and a third place finish in the Apple Blossom. So just as we're moving forward in that series, worth maybe taking a look at Don't Tell Sophia and this Pippin from Saturday. She's going to be the number 3 horse, getting it done. And getting it done, wins off by a length and a half. Long Shot, Fully Living, the number 5 horse, is going to run second and maybe juice up the exacta a little bit. And this is the longest shot on the board that will run second. But again, Don't Tell Sophia with a nice effort here. Certainly a safe winner. Will win off by, as I say, over a length as the 2-5 favorite, setting herself up now to move on along this same series that she did last year. And did so very, very well. So again, just kind of kicking off their series for the older females down there with Saturday's Pippin and Don't Tell Sophia, kind of keeping it going where she left off last year down at Oaklawn Park. Don't Tell Sophia now, 18 career starts, 8 wins, 4 second-place finishes, over $500,000 in earning. Channing Hill on board. Phil Sims trains Don't Tell Sophia. Going back to Fairgrounds, wanted to pull up the Fairgrounds handicap from Saturday, again, just because I didn't know whether we'd get a chance to look at it otherwise, but it kind of kicks off their handicap series down there. And the Louisiana handicap, $100,000 purse, mile and a 16th. The horse that certainly attracted my attention, particularly off the win in the Tenacious last time, was Prayer for Relief. When we reviewed that race back in late December, I mentioned this is probably the least well-known horse that has $1.5 million in the bank, and Prayer for Relief put a lot of that in the bank running back in the Bob Baffert barn earlier in the career as a 3-year-old and hit some of those B-level derbies in that 3-year-old season and put some of that money in the bank. Subsequently moved over to the Steve Asmussen barn, and last time out really seemed to kind of get a breakthrough kind of performance as a 6-year-old. So looked to be the one to beat on Saturday in the Louisiana handicap. Prayer for Relief is going to be the number 4. Steve Asmussen and Rosie Napravnik, 3-5. Will wind up running third. There's a little bit of an upset in here. The number 1, For Dubai. Robbie Alvarado on board. For Dubai is going to get it done in here at 7-1. For Dubai comes out of the Hollywood Gold Cup running 6th. Prior to that, the Indiana Derby ran another 6th. So this is a horse that, even at 7-1, maybe a little bit short to me, but makes a nice 4-year-old debut in here. Does For Dubai. So maybe there was just a little bit of 3-year-old to 4-year-old maturity, and For Dubai. I'm not saying this guy's going to be a major player on the handicap scene this year, but off of this effort, he's at least a horse that could be a little bit interesting looking at in this handicap division. And we'll see if he sticks around and goes in the handicap series down here at Fairgrounds, and then we'll keep our eyes on him as he progresses through the winter. Maybe it's a horse for a course kind of an angle. This was his first start at Fairgrounds, but it looked pretty nice on Saturday. A little bit of a disappointment, I guess, for Prayer for Relief, but we'll keep our eyes on that one as well. It's hard to believe. That may have just been one where the last effort was so big, there's a little bit of a regression, and Prayer for Relief will come back and run nicely on the rebound next time out. And finally, just wanted to go to Saturday and look at the Kitten's Joy. This was for $100,000, mile and a 16th on the turf. And as my partner, Steve Vick, on Loose on the Lead said on Sunday, we have seen horses come out of this and subsequently wind up later in the 3-year-old trail going in the bluegrass, for instance. These are turfers, but if they're successful here, they have maybe some synthetic options at Turfway or over at Keeneland a little bit later on along the Triple Crown Trail that could be kind of interesting. So that made this race worth paying a little bit of attention to. Also, you throw into the mix the 9-5 favorite, We Miss Artie, who had already tried the better company in the generation going in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile back at Santa Anita at the end of last year. Ran 7th there, but was competitive early on. Prior, though, had won the Breeders' Futurity on the synthetic at Keeneland, had some okay turf races also early in the career, breaking the maiden up at Saratoga on the grass. So We Miss Artie from Ken and Sarah Ramsey and Todd Pletcher was interesting coming into this race, and I still think interesting coming out as a 3-year-old, where they'll pick spots for him, and maybe the synthetic will again be in his future, having run so well at Keeneland last year. Weemis Artie is going to be the number 4 horse here, as the 9-5 favorite will wind up running second. The winner is going to be the number 2 Storm Inti for Chad Brown. And this one went off as another 9-5 shot, just on the money. The slight edge was given to Weemis Artie. Nice ding-dong battle down the stretch here, but Weemis Artie will just get nipped at the wire by Storming Inti. So again, I think both of these horses could be interesting watching going forward. As noted, Weemis Artie has already had some success synthetic at Keeneland. Storming Inti came into this race 3 wins, now 5 starts, 4 wins, and a 3rd place finish. One of those wins, though, the race just prior to this, an off-the-turf event, off-the-turf little stake down at Gulfstream Park. So Weemis Artie has some synthetic success. Storming Inti has some dirt success. So I think both of these horses, again, coming out of a race that in the past years has produced some horses that have at least taken some shots along the Triple Crown Trail. These are a couple of horses that may be interesting watching going on. Storming Inti and Weemis Artie, as I say, nice little ding-dong battle coming down the stretch. News story that I didn't get to at the top of the show, and I'll just touch on it before we go to the break. Kind of a funny story. Rules are rules, I guess. But trainer Dominic Schettino was fined and suspended. Fined a couple $1,000, suspended 10 days because he refused to run a horse, Ghostly Vision, in a January 10th race down in New York. Ghostly Vision, 7-5 morning line favorite in a $20,000 claiming race at Aqueduct, but Schettino would not run the horse. And didn't give a legitimate reason. Well, subsequently, it was noted the owner came out and said he wasn't supposed to be entered in a claiming race. He was doing pretty well with allowance conditions, so they didn't want him in a claiming race. And so it was just kind of a snafu, but as the owner said, well, rules are rules. I feel bad, but we didn't want to enter him in the claiming race, and so we had to hold him back. Subsequently, fined. The fine and the number of days reduced. I don't know if the fine was reduced. The number of days were reduced, though, because Schettino waived his right to appeal. So the days got cut down. But again, here's a guy who hadn't had any blemishes on the record, and the owner said, I feel bad for the guy. It was an honest mistake, but rules are rules, etc. But it's notable, the owner, Anthony Bonomo, who is a New York Racing Association board member. So he was kind of in a tough spot there with his trainer being between a rock and a hard place and being on the board. His only response had to be rules are rules. But again, it was kind of a funny situation there. Trainer Schettino being fined and suspended because he wouldn't allow his horse to race the other day. But I think it's understandable if there was a snafu and you put your horse in a claiming race and the owner is saying, wait a minute, I don't want my horse in the claiming race. It's the favorite. He's still got some allowance and conditions that we think he's legitimate for. So it was just one of those kind of quirky racetrack situations. All right, we will take our next break. When we come back, Gary Johnson from Beulah Park will get some thoughts on racing at Beulah for this afternoon. Also, we'll find out how Gary's feeling heading into the weekend's National Handicapping Championship at Las Vegas. Stay tuned.
I'm Brian Nadeau, inviting you to join me Friday, January 24th at the Clubhouse Racebook. I'll be handicapping the day's races live and managing a $500 bankroll for 25 lucky patrons. We'll see you then. Let's win together.
Future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night School in the Buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today. Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to Racing Across America for Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning means a regular visit from Gary Johnson from Beulah Park. Always want to remind people they can find Gary's selections each and every day on the Beulah Park website. Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Seth.
And give our viewers a little idea. We've already heard Parks is canceled for this afternoon. They're going to have some snow at certain parts of the Northeast. What's the weather look like out at Beulah today?
I think Beulah's too cold to snow, but it's got to be if you start finishing the car, and they're going to try to start it. You know, the weather's around 17 degrees, but if you watch the forecast, as each hour is starting to get colder and colder. So these jockeys, see what they do. They'll probably try to run as much as they can because, there's not a lot of action today.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, we'll keep our eyes peeled as the day goes along. It has been a crazy winter as far as these Arctic temperatures, though, but we'll see if they can keep going. Gary, before we get to the action this afternoon, we always note you are a handicap contest player. You have qualified for the National Handicapping Championship. When do you head out to Vegas?
I'm leaving tomorrow morning. I'm going to leave out of Cleveland, hopefully, weather providing, and I'll be in Vegas tomorrow morning, Vegas time.
And do you know which tracks will be available to you to handicap?
Yes, I do. Aqueduct, Gulfstream, Fairgrounds, Oakland, both West Coast tracks, Golden Gate, Santa Anita, and Tampa.
Nice. And so have you been kind of doing some homework on those tracks and I'll give you some insight that I've picked up looking at Oakland. Look for the Remington shippers at Oakland. They have been potent down there.
Seth, I'll tell you what, they opened my eyes. You made a great point there. I was throwing them out. I thought Remington was kind of a weak meat. I like to bet some of these Laurel horses, a few other places, New York horses going to Oakland, but these Remington horses, they're paying nice prices and I played a couple contests over the weekend. Sunday, actually, I was really lucky. I won an entry into the Breeders' Cup this year, which was a $10,000 contest. So,
nice.
I had a little stroke of luck. I hope I didn't use it up too soon, but I'm with you on that Oakland. I was following Oakland the entire weekend.
Yeah, I picked up on that about 2 or 3 days in. I love Oakland. I think there's a lot of value there. But about 2 or 3 days into this current meet, those Remington horses just kind of made my eyes pop open. So
I might have to give you a call when I'm in Vegas for a little. Hey, anything helps.
Absolutely. And I have to ask you, they announced a press release came out within the past couple of days. Brent Sumja, I guess is his name, was
I know Brent very well.
Yeah. The lead. Did I pronounce his name right? Sumja?
Sumja, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I guess a former trainer out in Southern California, but now, like you, former trainer on the handicapping contest circuit, but he was the leader of the tour this year and won some nice money for that, has a chance at a bonus. But it also said he qualified, he had more than one seat, and he said, the article said, more than one seat, he got some bonus money for that. You've got a couple of seats. Did you get some bonus money?
The bonus money comes on every time you win a tournament past the two seats. And he was involved in that tour. I think I might have finished. I was in the top 20. I cashed, So I got a little bit of gambling money coming when I get to Vegas.
Nice.
So they give you the money when you go out. But Brent was near the top, and I'll tell you what, he got so hot for a couple months there that he kind of hurt this tour situation. A lot of people quit playing because he had such a big lead, and it was $75,000 score he gets for the prize money. And he's a good handicapper, though. I can't take nothing away from him. Lately, he's been a little slow, so I'm going to hope it lasts another week for him. But But I wouldn't mind seeing him win. I like him, and he puts a lot in it.
Yeah, the article said at one point he went back to back, two days. He won two separate handicaps. I think that perhaps out of Del Mar it was. But
he did. He went back, and that's kind of what I did that one weekend. When I went out to Surfside, I qualified twice, like on a Monday and a Sunday. So he did it like on a Friday, Saturday, 2 days in a row. Which, let me tell you, I know people that did it for 10 years and haven't even been close.
Yeah,
so to win 2 in a row.
Oh, absolutely. I have played in a number of the handicapping contests. Before I was on the network, they had them here they still have them here at the Clubhouse Racebook, but on the network I can't participate now, but I did it before I was on. And then at the dog track in New Hampshire, they had horse racing handicapping contests using the simulcast signal in the spring and the fall. I participated in one down at Tampa as well. And they're fun, and you got to come in with maybe shifting your thinking a little bit and look a little more for value. But yeah, it's tough to think of going back to back on 2 consecutive days. That's tough.
3 of the last 4 winners of the finals have not qualified this year. John Conti's won, the guy from New York there, and they play a lot. 3 of the last 4 champions, the champions, aren't even in this tournament, which is unbelievable.
Yeah, which just goes to show how much the luck is involved. These are talented guys.
Keyword, you got to be lucky.
Yeah, and before we get on to the handicapping, I talked a little bit with you while we talked during the break. You're going to be watching the Horse Players series on Esquire tonight?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I'll be in a couple of those. I was trying to release for a few times in a few of the spots that I was in. But I'll tell you what, there's some characters in it. I think it's going to be really fun to watch, and it's going to be an entertaining show for anybody that likes horse racing.
I agree. It looks like it's going to be fun. And I said at the top of the show, don't necessarily judge it by the first episode. I think the first episode, they're going to have to take a lot of time introducing people. I have a feeling it'll pick up once we get into episode 2 and episode 3, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
Exactly.
All right, 5th race today. We're going to kick things off taking a look at that one, and it is an allowance event, non-winners of 2 lifetime. They will go 1 mile and 70 yards. What were your thoughts on race 5?
Race 5, they're allowing, I guess Oakland does it too, but, you can run a 3-year-old against older horses. We're talking January. In race 5 here at Beulah, there's 2 3-year-olds that are going to get some serious play. I mean, one of them's the 8 to 5 morning line. Form's good, but, it's hard for me to bet a 3-year-old. So I'm going to look elsewhere, and I'm going to go for the number 1, Magical Disguise. He came out of a couple tough races that had some runaway winners. They won by daylight, so, and, you throw them out of the race, and the form's going to be a little more eventful. But I like this trainer jock combo. I like the 1-hole, going long, and I like the first time going at Beulah.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, the old venue class relief angle, that's always important for me. And I agree with you. 3-year-olds at this time of year, it was, 2.5 weeks ago, they were 2-year-olds. And folks certainly would have been a leery betting a 2-year-old against older horses. So it is worth taking a look. As you say, there are a limited number of tracks, but this time of year it's worth taking a look at the conditions and maybe finding those 3-year-olds against older horses, particularly in a race like this where they're going to take some action.
No doubt.
6th race today, a calendar condition claimer at the $4,000 level. 3-year-olds and up, they'll go 1 mile.
Okay, the 6th race, we have Keith Scratch here with a 6th horse, Immortal Wink, came out just a few minutes ago. And that's going to leave the 3 El Pueblo Volato alone on the lead. Charlie Lawson, for anybody that's not betting a whole lot of Beulah, this guy is on fire. In the past week, he has been dominating. Ralph Martinez didn't come back for the winter meet here, but I think the 3 horse will go wire to wire out of an open race, gets a little condition here. I think this thing is pretty well essential.
All right, so a little pace angle there. And finally, we'll look out race number 8 this afternoon. Yeah. Another calendar condition claimer, 2,000 tags, 3-year-olds and up, they will go 5.5.
Yeah, if anybody looked at my selections today, or if you're going to look, you're going to see in there I had the 9, my best bet of the day. But there is 2 scratches in there, and one of them includes the 9, Holy Patootie, and also the 1, Indian Powwow. I think they took the best 2 horses out of here, with scratches. So I'm going to look elsewhere, and let's take a shot with a 6. 2-5 Flew, coming out of a non-winner, it's a 2 of the year race, which is much, much tougher than these. Good Family came back and won the last yesterday at Beulah, was a repeat winner, and he was a shipper and had a little class from Mountaineer. So I'm looking for a big price here. You see the awkward start. The start wasn't that bad, but he really started climbing when flopped hit him in the face and fell well back and wasn't abused down the stretch. He kind of just worked him down the stretch and he come flying. So could be a different scenario today.
I'm looking at 15-1 here on my morning line. Are you expecting that to hold up even with the scratches?
You know, the trainer didn't win a race last year. I don't know. You know, sometimes they're going to really, really overbet the one because, you know, the 1A, you know, is Charlie Lawson. But, you know, Charlie's had this horse for 7 races and hasn't won, you know, on the Foss and the 1A. So and it's going to be really, really 3 to 5, 4 to 5-ish, I think. And it will allow some of these other horses in here to step up. So I'm really looking for a 10 to 1 or better on those things.
All right, sounds good. Gary, certainly appreciate the visit as always, and we'll catch up with you next week and find out all about the handicapping championship out in Vegas. But in the meantime, good luck. We're rooting for you, buddy. Knock them dead over the weekend.
I appreciate it, Seth. I'll be talking to you next Tuesday.
All right, sounds good. Gary Johnson from Beulah Park as he flies out to National Handicapping Championship out in Vegas. Again, we're rooting for him. All right, we'll take our last break of the hour. When we come back, Michael Chamberlain, Turf Paradise, right after this.
I'm Brian Nadeau, inviting you to join me Friday, January 24th at the Clubhouse Racebook. I'll be handicapping the day's races live and managing a $500 bankroll for 25 lucky patrons. We'll see you then. Let's win together.
I'm Jeff Carl. Join me Saturdays and Sundays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the weekend in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekends at 9, only here on the OTB TV network.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Happy to be joined now, as we are on every Tuesday morning, by Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise. Good morning, Michael.
Morning. How are you doing?
Very good. And we got to do it. We got to do the Live Vicariously weather forecast. Certainly up here, when folks got into their cars this morning, we realized the Arctic chill had come back. Just talked to Gary Johnson from Beulah Park out in Ohio. He said it's the same out there with single or maybe digits in the teens for the day. What's your weather forecast out of Turf Paradise look like?
Well, you're really going to hate me today. It's supposed to be sunny and gorgeous, and the high may even get into the 80s.
Oh, nice, nice. As I say, I don't mind it because we can turn on the network in the afternoon and dial in Turf Paradise, and we all live vicariously. I mean, if we can't be there, at least we can imagine being there.
That's right. That's right. You can use that imagination to get yourself down here.
Yeah, at least somebody's living in 80 degrees. All right, Michael, before we get to some thoughts for this afternoon, I wanted to go back to last weekend, and we talked with you last week about the nice Saturday you had scheduled with the Cotton Fitzsimmons as the feature race, but you also had an undercard stakes race as well, the Glendale. I want to take a little look at both of those. The Glendale, a Fillies and Mayors race on the turf at 1 1/16. And we're going to watch the stretch run here. And the winner's kind of interesting. The winner comes in from Southern California, but comes in off the claim for Robertino Diodoro. And the winner is going to be Rick's Pretentious Gal, the 5-2 second choice in here. 6-5 favorite, number 9 Easy Kitty. Maybe a little bit of a disappointment running fourth, but certainly nice claim for Mr. Diodoro as we see Rick's Pretentious Gal running off and winning here in the Glendale.
And the best thing about that performance was the speed that she exhibited there through the stretch. She looked like she was under a little bit of pressure there midway through the lane, and then all of a sudden, bam, she took off and she was gone. That was a tremendous performance in the Glendale by Rick's Precious Gal. We really thought it was a great performance, especially given the way that the race had set up with Easy Kitty out toward the front. And, when they turned for home, it looked like Easy Kitty was in front and going to be there the rest of the way. But as you said, she did kind of fade back to run fourth while, still putting forth a good effort. It wasn't exactly what we expected out of her, but the Diodoro horse really put forth a great effort, and that speed move through the stretch was very impressive.
Yeah, no question about it. Now let's move out to the Cotton Fitzsimmons, the feature race of the day, $75,000 purse, 4-year-olds and up. They went a mile on the turf. You got a nice little field in here, and that's evidenced by the fact that the winner, the number 3 horse, Fire with Fire, a Neil Drysdale trainee, comes in from Southern California, 6-5 favorite, will get it done in here, but gets it done in a ding-dong battle against the hometown boy, AZ Ridge, who had put in a couple of very, very nice races already at the Turf Paradise meet. And so as we watch him come down the stretch, it will be Fire with Fire, number 3 horse, number 1, AZ Ridge. And as I say, it is a ding-dong battle, but the Drysdale horse will get the neck victory.
Absolutely, and AZ Ridge, we were all very proud of that performance. He came up the inside and had a really nice trip and got up there for second. And the other horse that's involved there is the 9 Hammers Terror for trainer Mike Chambers, who is having another fine season here at Turf Paradise. So you had a blanket finish that we were all quite proud of here at Turf Paradise because you had such a great horse in this Neil Drysdale send in the winner, and then the 2 horses with the more local connections right there with him at the end. But the Drysdale horse came through Fire with Fire, and it was one heck of a finish, I have to say. It was a great stretch run, and the horse that finished fourth also is another horse that's locally based. Tones has a couple of wins on the turf already this season, and based off that performance, I'm looking for him to come back and run well again.
Yeah, that, as I say, a very nice addition to the stakes race, both races on Saturday, and with Neil Drysdale shipping in, gave it maybe a little added cachet as well. So congratulations on a nice day down there on Saturday. Let's get some ideas for this afternoon, where again, 80 degrees. We love that. So we'll certainly be tuning in and enjoying the Turf Paradise races for this afternoon. Kick things off. Get your thoughts on the 5th today. It's an allowance. Non-winners of 2 lifetime the condition. Fillies and Mares 4-year-olds and up, scheduled on the grass at 7.5 furlongs. Your thoughts here?
I'm basically picking the one horse in this race that is yet to run for an allowance condition, and that's the 9 horse Party Bus. Martine Bordier is the rider for trainer Ken Person, who has hit the board with 6 of 10 starters so far this season at Turf Paradise. That's a 60% in the money and 30% winners. He's won with 3 of those, so very strong trainer here locally. This horse's turf form is very comparable to the other ones in here, especially the horse that's probably going to be the favorite, the Diodoro trained Liar, Liar, Liar. This horse's Beyer figures on the turf in the last 3 tries at turf, 59, 59, and 57. Liar, Liar, Liar's got a 63, a 60, and a 58 in the span of the same 3 turf races, not exactly the same races, but same 3 turf setups. So I'm pretty confident Party Bus is going to run a big race here today. And the rider today, Martine Bordier, is one of the more underrated guys here. He wins a lot of quarter horse races, which does help his totals. He's only at 7% as far as the thoroughbreds are concerned, but he can still spring a surprise every now and then. And I like this horse a little bit in here to maybe step up into the new company and put forth a big effort. The work on January 14th, a half mile in 49 and 2, also says this horse might be ready to pop a big break.
Yeah, I handicapped Turf Paradise for the handicapping program on earlier this morning. I put Liar, Liar on top, Liar, Liar, Liar on top, a Party Bus right underneath, and in the third spot I had Harlan Sweetie, and all 3 of them, it's just on the angle of, I think they're all going to appreciate the return to turf. They're okay on dirt, but they seem much better on turf, and so I expect the numbers to bounce up and rebound to those turf numbers, and I think it's a very competitive race with those 3, so I certainly think yours is right squarely in my mix as well. 8th race today at Turf Paradise. a plain vanilla claimer at the 6,250 level, 4-year-olds and up, again on the grass at a mile. And Michael, as I said, I handicapped the track earlier, and you and I are in complete agreement on the top selection.
And that selection is actually the single in my pick 5 sequence today. We have a $4,600 carryover in the pick 5, and I'm going with number 9, 7 Tough. When Mike Chambers is the trainer and Ann Von Rosen is the rider, you got to put that horse a little extra notch ahead of the rest in this bunch. The horse has not won yet on the turf, though, here at Turf Paradise, but has hit the board in all 5 tries, 2 seconds and 3 thirds. And the last 3 turf races, very strong races. Ran third in the starter stake on November 4th at a mile and a 16th on the turf. Ran third in a claimer, 10,000 back to 9,000 in November on the turf, going a mile, and then tried 7.5 furlongs, and actually put forth the best buyer of the bunch as the betting favorite on December 10th in an allowance spot there. I think this horse, coming down in company now back to the claiming ranks, is going to really shine this afternoon. I think 7 Tough is the one that could. I'm hinging the entirety of the Big 5 on today. So I like the chances of 7 Tough quite a bit.
Yeah, I was right in the same boat. I said earlier, this one to me has maybe a slight edge, but I think an edge on the recent numbers. Just seems to be in the best recent form. Then you add in the angles you said. It just makes the horse more attractive. Michael, before we let you go, the Eclipse Awards announced on Saturday night. I don't think there were any surprises, certainly. I thought maybe in the 2-year-old division, Shared Belief, maybe some folks might argue with that. Otherwise, I thought it kind of went down the line the way folks were predicting for the most part. Anything notable from the Eclipse Awards for you?
Well, to me, actually, the one you mentioned, Shared Belief, was the one that I'm kind of glad that he won. I think that was a very good selection based on his form throughout the 2-year-old season. And I also think it's important that he wins because his ownership is part of that Jim Rome ownership group. And when you get a guy like Jim Rome, with his misdirection the last 2 years of the Breeders' Cup, and now he's got a horse that is a potential Kentucky Derby horse and maybe Kentucky Derby winner, it only helps the sport and helps things go forward as far as horse racing is concerned, because you get a guy like that, get him a mainstream sports guy and get him more and more interested in horse racing and get him involved in the big events, and those big events become bigger in the eyes of much of the rest of the sports media. Yeah,
and the Baffert horse that won last weekend, Midnight Hawk, has the sports coaches involved, and I think that can attract some mainstream attention as well. That's always good when these kind of celebrity-type owners can get horses that are on the Triple Crown trail. I think that broadens the appeal and maybe attracts some mainstream attention. I agree completely. All right, Michael, got to wrap things up. As always, appreciate the visit. Good luck this afternoon. We'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
All right, Michael Chamberlain from Turf Paradise. A little earlier, Gary Johnson from Beulah Park, all of which brings us to the end of this edition of Racing Across America. We're here every Monday through Friday from 10 to 11 a.m. A little earlier, Handicappers Report this morning, it was Mike Jarbo and I, and we focused on Sunland and Turf Paradise because Parks Racing is canceled for this afternoon due to the impending snow down there, so keep that in mind if you're handicapping for this afternoon. But hopefully, earlier we gave you some good advice. So the game plan, cash some tickets this afternoon. We'll see you again here tomorrow morning.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.